You might have noticed things got pretty interesting in the crypto world recently.
Definitely.
Bitcoin, Ether, big jumps, double digits.
Yeah.
And, well, lots of other coins seem to follow right along.
Yeah, a significant surge.
Okay, so let's unpack this because it wasn't random. There's a lot of buzz about a potential U.S. strategic crypto reserve.
Yeah.
An idea Donald Trump floated.
Right, and what's really striking is how fast the market reacted, just to the idea.
Exactly.
We're talking about the U.S. government possibly setting up, a fund holding crypto. Think of it like digital gold reserves almost.
High-tech vault, yeah.
But it's crucial for you, the listener, to grasp that this is just a proposal for now. It's not actually happening yet.
Absolutely key. You're probably seeing headlines, maybe stuff on social media.
Okay.
That's exactly why we're doing this deep dive today. We want to give you a clear sense of what this reserve idea is, which specific cryptos are being talked about. Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, Cardano are the names dropped.
The big ones.
And really why it's causing such a stir. Because this isn't just, prices going up and down. This could be a fundamental change in how the U.S. sees crypto.
It really could. And thinking back, remember Bitcoin took that, 17.5% dip back in February?
Right. Good context.
So yeah, seeing this kind of rally now, it's a sharp turnaround. That February volatility really highlights the swings we see, doesn't it?
It does.
And maybe against that backdrop, the idea of something more stable, maybe government-backed, well, it sounds pretty appealing to some folks.
Okay, let's get specific about Trump's announcement then. He used Truth Social, right? A couple of posts.
Yep.
The first one mentioned XRP, Solana SOL, and Cardano, ADA. And he tied it to an earlier executive order about crypto.
And what's telling there is these aren't just minor coins he picked out of a hat.
Yeah.
Those three, plus Bitcoin and Ether, which he added later, they're all, top 8 by market cap, according to CoinMarketCap anyway. These are major players.
And he didn't just add BTC and ETH later. He followed up pretty quickly, like an hour later.
Explicitly named them.
Said he loves them even. But what I also thought was interesting was what wasn't on the list.
Right. No stable coins.
No Tether, no USDC, and no BNB, Binance's coin either.
That's quite noticeable, isn't it? It sort of suggests a lean towards maybe the more decentralized, established cryptos, rather than stablecoins tied to fiat or exchange tokens.
Good point. It raises questions like, what criteria would they even use for a strategic reserve like this?
Exactly. What makes the cut?
So the market reaction, we touched on it, but it was fast and pretty big. Bitcoin up 10%.
Ether even more, almost 13%.
And yeah, Cardano, Solana, they saw big gains too. There was that quote from Edul Patel at Mudrex.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Mentioned strong momentum, didn't he?
Yeah, and potential for global adoption. Even throughout the 100K Bitcoin number, though he did add a note of caution about, short-term dips being possible.
Which is always wise in crypto. But that quote really captures the optimism, the feeling this kicked off. The market took it as a very positive sign.
A strong signal of confidence, for sure.
Having a major government like the U.S. even talking about this, it sends a powerful message globally.
Okay, so let's pivot to the why. Why would the U.S. even consider this? What are the upsides for them?
Well, the obvious one is diversification, right?
Diversifying the government's holdings.
Yeah. Right now, it's mostly traditional stuff. Adding crypto, even with its volatility, could be a different kind of hedge. It's a totally different asset class.
Doesn't always move with the stock market, for example.
Precisely. Spreading the risk, essentially. Not keeping all the eggs in one basket.
Okay. Diversification. What else? There's maybe an influence regulation angle.
That seems plausible. If the U.S. holds a significant chunk of these assets,
They get more say.
potentially yes. More leverage in shaping how crypto evolves, how it's regulated globally. It means having a seat at the table, maybe even helping set the agenda.
Instead of just reacting.
Exactly, being proactive in the space.
And then there's the idea of stabilization. Could a big reserve help smooth out those wild crypto price swings?
That's an interesting one. How it would actually work is a bit fuzzy.
Right.
But just the idea of a large, stable holder, like the U.S. government being in the market, that alone could boost confidence. Maybe lessen the fear of those huge, sudden sell-offs.
So less panic selling.
Perhaps. It raises that fascinating question, though. How active would this reserve be? Would they, trade, buy dips, sell peaks? We just don't know.
Yeah, a lot of unknowns there. But the impact on price and just general market feeling, That seems pretty clear. Like Patel said, it's a confidence booster.
Definitely. If the U.S. government is seriously considering holding crypto strategically, it makes other investors, especially big institutions, feel, well, safer,
More secure about putting money in.
which could lead to more money flowing in, potentially pushing prices up, attracting more interest. It's that positive feedback loop idea.
And like you said, if the U.S. does it,
Other countries might follow, or at least big global institutions might start taking crypto even more seriously as a legitimate financial asset.
we should also probably remember the context here. Trump's relationship with the crypto industry.
Right, he's mentioned their support, especially during the campaign.
And this move, this proposal, it looks like it directly addresses some things they've been asking for, policy-wise. Remember that White House crypto summit he hosted?
Yeah, that was a first. It definitely signals an openness to engaging with the industry, listening to their priorities, maybe a shift from how previous administrations viewed crypto.
Which was often more skeptical,
Wow.
cautious.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, the big question then.
Yeah.
The how. Where does the crypto actually come from for this reserve?
Ah, yes. Well, that January 23rd executive order you mentioned earlier, it hinted at something interesting.
Which was?
It talked about a regulatory framework potentially being, and I think the word was derived from seized crypto.
Seized assets
Hmm.
from criminal cases and things like that.
Exactly. The U.S. government has been confiscating crypto tied to illegal stuff for years now. There was a Forbes piece, citing the New York Times, I think, estimating the government already holds something like $19 billion worth of Bitcoin, just from seizures.
19 billion. Wow.
So, yeah, it's not like they'd necessarily have to rush out and buy tons on the open market right away. They might already have a substantial starting pot.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But, and this is important, the exact details.
Yeah.
How it's set up, how it's managed, that's all still pretty unclear. Right?
Very unclear. That's the big caveat here. Loads of excitement, yes, lots of market movement, but the actual logistics, the regulations needed, huge hurdles still exist before this could be real.
Okay, so let's wrap up this deep dive. We've looked at Trump's proposal for this U.S. strategic crypto reserve.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about the specific coins named BTC, ETH, XRP, SOL, ADA. We saw the market's reaction, which was pretty strong and positive.
Definitely got people's attention.
We discussed the potential upsides for the U.S. diversification, influence, and for the crypto market itself, maybe more stability, more confidence.
And importantly, we touched on the how, noting that seized assets might be a big part of it, but
the actual plan, the mechanics, are still very much TBD, to be determined.
exactly. Still a lot of what ifs.
So lots to think about.
Absolutely. And maybe here's something for you, the listener, to chew on. If a major government, like the U.S., actually holds a strategic chunk of crypto, think about the potential influence there. How could that fundamentally change global finance down the road? What role would digital assets play then? And, what other consequences, things we haven't even thought of, might pop up from a move like this?